To overcome the current economic crisis, we need to strengthen American business by extending the Bush-era tax cuts. Yes. With inflation so low, we can continue to spend our way to prosperity and put off dealing with the $200 trillion in debt until later. Ben, you're a genius. I can see why Bush made you the head guy. Nobody seems to understand what we're trying to do here. I'm trying to give the banks as much money as possible, really. The struggle for democracy begins with the ability to decide one's own future. I figure as long as the banks have cash, fuck everyone else. Exactly, Ben. Fuck everyone else. That's what I have been trying to tell the American people for 2 years. I think they got it, actually. But you speak so politely it's hard to swallow. What more can I do? I put the pedal to the metal on torture. I ignored any rational reason to get out of Afghanistan, and I've consistently obscured the truth about the economy, wiretapping, and killing Americans at will for being terrorists. They still say you're a socialist Muslim. Only those asshole Tea Party clowns believe that. I'm a pragmatic capitalist and everybody knows it. My question is, how do we keep China off of our asses while we bleed more billions out of U.S. pockets for the financial sector? That's easy. Whatever the critics say the opposite. If China gets in the way, we fuck them up hardcore. China is a pretty powerful country. What, are you red? All we have to do is initiate a trade embargo and cut off their oil supply. It's that simple. They could start a serious global conflict, couldn't they? Not on my watch, they can't. Listen, China only exists for U.S. corporate profits, like every other second-rate country out there. They know it and we know it. Without our buying power to complement their productivity, they are irrelevant. Look at Japan. They thought they were the shit at one time, but once we started the race to slave labor, that changed everything. Good point. The question is, how does the U.S. worker compete with slave labor? Like you give a shit about the American worker. I had you going for a minute there, eh? Fuck everyone else. That's my motto. And when some wise ass like Carl Deniger or Dylan Ratigan tries to one-up me on what's best for the economy, I just bullshit my way out of it with a rash of high talk. I hate Ratigan. He's so smug, no shit. And he argues every point I make. If I say I'm not printing money, he says I am. If I say I'm not selling out America's future by handing out billions to the too-big-to-fail banks, he says I am. But you are, Ben. That's none of his goddamn business. Last time I checked, I was the Federal Reserve Chairman, not some know-it-all punk on MSNBC. Damn straight. Fuck everyone else, right? Word, bitch. So if we do send the whole country off of a cliff, how do we handle it? Really, we can keep this up for much longer. I'm starting to think there may be something to all this talk about hyperinflation and the dollar collapse. You sound like a little girl, Obama. Grow up there. Who is running the economy? You are, Ben. Did I say we can handle any inflation? Yes, you did. Did I say there was no danger of the dollar collapsing as long as we continue to manipulate the markets and cook the growth numbers? Yes, you did. So what is your problem? I don't want to end up hanging from a tree is all, and neither do you. Look, I know it is a major gamble, but it is to pay off sooner or later. We get unemployment back down to 8%. We get housing costs to around a 100,000 national average, and we let the corporations take advantage of cut-rate labor costs. We will look like gods, Obama. Well, we are already about $200 trillion in the hole. How much more money do you think it will take? Who cares? As much as we think. Does it matter? After all, the idea is to keep the charade going until our fantasy becomes the reality, or reality destroys our fantasy. It's not going to happen. Mark my words. If you say so, Ben. Damn the doomsayers in full speed ahead. That's my boy. Chin up, Obama. There's a pot of gold at the end of this rainbow, and maybe man of the decade besides. And if the people start thinking they have a democracy and take to the streets, we massacre their asses. Amen, brother. I got to lock and pop some disgruntled Yankee bitches. That's what I'm talking about. When all else fails, fuck 'em. You're the man, Ben.